Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today I got another war. This is War 2 of Season 52 against SGA, and we're going to be going up Path 1 all of the way, and using Spider-Punk, Onslaught and Ironheart, so pretty fun team. Starting off on 1A with this personal space regen thing. I took this in off-season with Punk, and it went pretty well. My strat is just to build up the heal block from the tactic, which helps deal with the regeneration, and just take him down. Punk doesn't hit too hard, so he's not going to be triggering, things protection very often, and the rupture damage just kind of ticks him down, so it's a pretty nice fight. Main thing you got to watch out for here is just kind of dealing with things rock stacks. I know that Spider-Punk's SP2 is 4 hits, so I'm going to be trying to use it whenever I'm on 11 rock stacks. So this first one, when I get to my L2 here, you will see me mess it up a little bit. I wasn't quite sure of where I was in terms of the rock stacks, and I didn't want to throw it too early, so I do one medium which puts him onto 11, and then I kind of pause and figure out where I am, and then I do just kind of step back into L2. It actually works out alright because it means that things protection goes away, and then I get a lot of damage out of these ruptures ticking here. The protection can be a little bit annoying at times, especially when you stun with your counter evade, and then it kind of just, gets rid of a lot of the damage that you're trying to do, but it's not a bad fight. It's quite good. And the Encore passive means that Thing is very nice in throwing his special ones whenever you leave him on 15, so it can make that aspect of the fight a little bit easier to control as well. And next up we've got Mordo on this Masochism over time and unblockable while they have a regen buff node. I took this last war. Punk is really good for this node. His easy openings with his counter evade and then intercept playstyle, which you're going to see me again in this fight. I'm going to get bailed out by the cooldown of the evade still allowing me to evade. I think it happens here. So yeah, we just kind of go back in, and it allows us to avoid any danger. Once Mordo's thrown one L1, we're just going to be baiting out these L1s over and over and over again. Because of the Encore passive, it means that the attack of the special is reduced and the chance of him throwing it is also reduced. I'm going to be weaving in heavies whenever I can. That applies another debuff, but that debuff is also a taunt, so he's going to throw his specials even more easily for us. And I'm just going to be layering on the ruptures with my L2 as well. And then we're going to go for a relic and then into a combo and into L1 if it's needed. But that medium finishes him off, and that's about 40 seconds for a path fight. Not too bad at all. Moving on to section 2, going at path 1 again, I've got this Werewolf by Night. Punk is a really good werewolf counter, pretty much purely for the fact that he is rupture immune. And in health pools like this, that means that whenever Wolf fills a bar of power, he's only going to be gaining 1 of his lycanthropy charges, so he's not as likely to go into curse during the match. Apart from that, the rupture damage is really nice because Wolf takes increased physical damage, so we're just going to be doing more damage than we usually would, as opposed to another DOT. And yeah, we don't really control the unstoppable or the unblockable, but with your counter evade you can get around the unblockable, and as long as you're not getting him into curse or letting him howl above 2 bars, you won't be dealing with the unstoppable either. If he does get into curse, it's just something you got to watch out for. The Encore passive is actually nice as well. Wolf has really weird AI where he kind of just walks up to you or goes back and howls, and reducing the chance of that happening by making him throw a special can really control some of the safety in the fight. You saw us at the start of the fight not really doing too much damage because I was dashing back and triggering the regen, so after that I started to just kind of take some of the hits of his special one on block in order to avoid proccing the regen. It meant that he did nullify our dex buff occasionally and make us take a burst of damage, but overall Punk handled that very well. Moving on to this bishop on buffet, I'm using Ironheart. She was a really fun rank up I did in the off season in preparation for this tactic, and yeah, I just wanted to take her out for a bit of a spin and see how she did. So I've applied my Rupture pre-fight. Ironheart can choose between Incinerate and Rupture. Incinerate by default, but we don't want to be applying Incinerates to Bishop. The buffet is a little bit annoying, and you're going to see us take a bit more damage than I expected, because it meant that my armor up buff gets nullified. I can get it back by using light attacks, and I probably should have used them a little bit more at the start of this fight because we didn't proc any of them. The way Ironheart's armors work is that she can gain them, I think it's around a 30% chance on her light hits, and it's guaranteed on her final light. Looking back, I would definitely have focused a bit more on getting those armors because something was sticky about my controls as well, and I wasn't managing to dex out of these L2s either. But Bishop's going down just fine. The rotation with Ironheart is generally either special 1 spam or build up to an L2. Again, looking back, I probably would have gone 1L1 at 1.9, built up a bunch more ruptures, and then pushed to L2 a little bit earlier. As you see, when we go for this kill shot, it's way overkill, and we probably could have gone for it a little bit earlier. But, you know, it's a learning process. I haven't used her too much, and she was pretty good. This is next a Scared Stiff Ebony Maw on the root node, so I'm going to be using Punk here. He's really good for Maw. You get easy openings for knockdown, and especially with his tactic, since it's a heal block, and that heal block will counter miss for us. It just kind of takes away most of the threat that Maw can do. You will take 1 degen at least in this fight, because he'll apply a Fury from his L1 and then nullify it. That's why I popped a combat regen boost, just to kind of try and recoup a little bit of the health that we lose at the start here. But another really nice thing about Punk is that Encore, again, it just keeps Maw throwing those L1s and keeping him doing what we want him to do. I don't really want him to waste time throwing specials because it means that there's a chance I get rooted and then I take hits, but if he throws that L1 straight away, it just means we can keep the tempo of the fight going. And the more L1s he throws, which is quite a lot because of the power focus node, he will apply more ruptures from our SIG, and yeah, he just ends up ticking down really, really nicely. The final fight today is probably the first fight of my season that I would not send again, or at least do a different strategy. This is, it ends up being a really dodgy fight for me. So I am running Resonate at the moment. I probably should have taken it off beforehand as well, but you know, you're just going to see a lot of this power just feel really, really out of hand. Normally with Onslaught, I tend to go straight to L2 against Bullseyes and then power backs and kind of nuke my way down. But this fight, I just felt really out of control, so I ended up throwing an L1 and building up some Neuros that way as well. A couple times you're going to see me, well, I mean, I get cornered here, which isn't great, and I have to dex the L2 in the corner. But a couple times I do parry, and then that triggers Conflictor, and then my passive stun gets replaced, and I don't have time to actually land the full heavy, and I think it leads me to eat either a L1 or a combo. It may have already happened, but I lose my invuln really early, and it just throws me off, and I ended up not trusting the parry heavy quite as much. So there we go, there we lose the invul, and it kind of throws me off. I'm not really sure how it happened. In hindsight, it was because the stun got purified instead of, it got purified by the Conflictor node instead of by Bullseye trying to evade. But you know, I am in a really dodgy spot. I just need to get to my L2. I get there, we throw it, and it just chunks him down, and I felt very, very lucky to survive that. So yeah, not one that I would take in the same way. I'd possibly go invul and push to L3, but later in the season, and in other BGs, we ended up sending different options, so I think I'd be looking for a different option there. Maybe a Professor X, Kitty, Sinister would be good there, champs like that. But yeah, that was my war. It was a fun one, if a little dicey at the end there, but yeah, thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.